you a good girl. Alright, give me some rainbow. Hello. And for those of you who have been here before, welcome. Or welcome back. For those of you who've never been here before, welcome. Sorry if I'm a little distracted. I have somebody walking past my house and 3 dogs. You can understand I've got to get dialed in. Susie? No. Susie, come. Susie, sit. Susie, stay. Boshi, stay. Alright. Let me go. No. Sit. Sit. Susie, sit. Good girl. Stay. Boshi, stay. I mean it. A fun way to start a video. Alright, so to those who've never been here before, welcome. I like to start off my videos with the disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor, and I'm damn sure no financial analyst. Susie, sit. Susie, sit. So if you're looking for advice, except for maybe dog handling, if you're looking for advice, there's none here. So shrug off. And I think I should say before I get too far just what I mean with shrug off, so you know I'm not going for the profanity thing. Ever look at something you're not interested, kind of shrug your shoulders and walk off? You get the idea. Shrug off. There you go. Okay? Not personal, but if you're not interested, this ain't for you. Don't waste your time. But if you want to hear me talk about some interesting topics, and hopefully when they happen, as I did with you, some interesting conversation, I hope you'll come back. Go ahead, go play. Come on, baby, go play. Alright, so generally I was lucky with dude that he had came up with the topic of what to talk about. For me, it's actually a bit of struggle because Lord knows there's so many things to talk about. I mean, news of the day kind of stuff, things like that. But generally the idea is to talk about conversations I've had. And I have been blessed to speak with people of just about every caliber. The good, the bad, and the in between. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. And generally speaking, we'll talk about all different things. You know, situations come up or life conversations, various things in various places, various times. And they're usually pretty interesting, even if sometimes only for a moment or two. Well, one of the conversations that came up, I guess, Bushy, stop! The puppies, you gotta love them. No, Boshi. Alright, so, generally speaking, the conversation that comes up pretty often, really, in the last number of years, is the theory of every life matters. I'm sorry. I call BS on that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not the kind of person that wishes ill intent on people I don't know, or even people who cross me, we'll say. But at the same time, I mean, if you're to come onto my property, take something that's not yours, of value, okay, I mean, a good example, somebody snags 20 bucks from my house. First of all, you're never welcome back, and I'll let everybody know that you grabbed that 20, and generally speaking, I'll spread the word, so to speak, so people know the kind of thief you are. This has no ethnicity, race, sex, none of it. It's the kind of person you are, because every group has people like this in it. And generally speaking, I can understand the anger of somebody being ripped off even for as low as 20 bucks. But when I say not every life matters, I mean the more drastic aspect of it. Okay, give you a good example. Guy I worked with, Sam. Now he was 70 in 2000. So you can do the math on that. He come back from the old school. Okay? So what would that be? Yeah, born in 30, so 1930. He actually grew up an honest-to-God cowboy. He, at 12 years old, would strap on his irons, pack his saddlebags, jump on his horse, and disappear for a month, 2 months, sometimes 3 months, going to collect stray cattle for the different ranchers around there. He made pretty good money at it. And of course, family was all cool because that was not an unheard of thing for somebody at that age to do, including toting his iron. So needless to say, Sam was quite the shot. He used to say he had scored his Army marksman shooting from the hip. Now, it was with the pistol, but shooting from the hip, he was able to score marksman. Think about the quality of this man's abilities. So anyhow, the old man, he's laid up in bed with his live-in hooker. She lived with him. It was a convenience thing. I mean, she went and earned her money, and when she wasn't working, that's where she lived. I don't know if she necessarily paid rent or traded it off, but I mean, they actually were friends. He was much older than her. I think she was, at the time, mid-30s, and he was 70. So, you know, generally speaking, he treated her with respect. You'd be surprised. He treated her like a lady. Most people say, oh, that old blankety blank blank blank. No. So Sam was a good guy. You know? Had no ill will towards anybody. Oh my God, dude. None. Nobody. A shining example of a good-natured person. Really never had harsh words or anything. I really admired the man. Enjoyed working with him as well for as long as I did. But one day I was at work, and one of my coworkers said, Sam, did you really put those guys down? Sam, ever so calmly, said, yep. There I sat. Now, this is some moons ago, so I'm in my 30s. And I sat there now. I know this kind of stuff happens in life, but the calmness of it. Wow. Now, the guy who asked him that question wasn't as calm. He's actually a little excited about it. Not like, yay, you did, or just the excitement of, wow, really? And I turned and said, Sam, you put somebody down? Now, you notice I'm kind of skating the words here. Yeah, thanks, YouTube. And generally speaking, Sam said, yeah, they tried to steal my bookie. The guy who we work with says, they gave you your guns back? Sam said, yeah, a couple days later. So I, of course, pressed Sam. What the hell happened? What are you talking about? Whoa, wait, whoa, what? And the guy says, yeah, you don't know? Sam put 2 guys down the other day. No, I've been working with Sam. He didn't mention it. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh man, yeah, I had a, blah, blah, blah. No, he just, and his comment was, to me, is, well, I just did what I had to do. Okay. From a man who grew up in that area, I understand completely. Wasn't something he wanted to do, looked forward to do, would have created the circumstance to be able to do. And this is not good old natured Sam to put a couple people down. So I asked him to elaborate, and he was kind enough to do so. What he had told me was, he was laid up with his girl, we'll say, and he heard a noise outside. Like anybody with good sense and a set of irons, he grabbed him up. He grabbed one up, walked outside, and there was somebody hitching his boat up to not his vehicle. Yes, they were fixing to run off with it. If you want to use the new fancy words, abscond with it. So anyhow, Sam said freeze. And he said that guy had a pry bar and lifted that pry bar up as though he was going to strike at him. Sam dropped him. Just that quick. No questions asked. No secondary response. What do you think you're doing? The guy physically displayed aggression towards him, and he responded in kind, in the chest. I don't remember if it was one or two, but Sam immediately saw the guy at the other end of the boat. I know what he's doing at the other end of the boat. And I don't really remember what Sam said that was he was threatened or how he was threatened. But Sam dropped him once again right in the chest. Now me, I'm like, whoa, whoa, how come you didn't say nothing about this? Well, something he's necessarily proud of. He really, it's not like he wanted to do this. That was his boat. He'd worked hard and earned that money and bought that boat. Now Sam made good money, don't be mistaken. But it was his. Right and proper, he bought it, title, tag, the whole 9 yards, it's his. In his yard. And apparently the law agreed. Agreed to the extent that a couple days later, he was able to go retrieve his iron. Did those guys' lives matter? Not to Sam at that moment. And in hindsight, were I in that circumstance, I don't think they would matter to me. So, this is one of those ones I bring up in conversation. Now, usually whenever you get into these conversations with people with the every life matter ideas, it's so stupid. So the every life matter peoples, what about Ted Bundy? You know, his last victim was what, an 11-year-old, or no, a 17-year-old girl he abducted from a high school? And apparently had done such vicious job with her that he wasn't willing to tell them where he was because the scene was so, or what he had done was so horrific. Yeah, you gotta admit, the world celebrated when he met old Sparky. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was electric chair. Did his life matter? Oh no. No, just the opposite. The world, I think, at least the state I'm in, where it had happened by chance, felt that no, his life no longer mattered. I think most people would agree. And I tell you honestly, I think there were actually some people, because I was around in those times, that there were some people that actually went and decried that he should not be put down. I don't know how many. You know, there were even appeals from not Mr. Bundy, not old torturous Ted, but from other people that, oh, well, that shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have the death penalty. I'm sorry, in my book, in my eyes, the way I see it, oh yeah, that was the right, yep. Oh yeah, getting rid of old Bundy. Been a number of ones that we've done it through the years. Good example, Saddam. Do you remember when they put him to his end at the end of a rope? Quick drop and stop. Did his life matter? Not if you had heard the torturous, murderous things that he had done to the Kurds. And I'm not just talking about gassing thousands of them, killing thousands of them with gas. Horrible, torturous way to go. But he also had torture chambers and would have people killed willy-nilly. You might piss them off or whatever, and next thing you know, your family's putting you in the ground. Did his life matter? Well, let's bring it back to America again. Let's say I'm in my house and I hear a sound. The sound of breaking glass. Well, whatever arm I may have, not necessarily a gun. Okay? Whatever arm I may have, I'm going to grab and I'm going to see what's going on. And I know there might be a chance there's somebody there with a bigger or badder weapon. But the truth is, their life doesn't matter. Not to me. Not when you come into my house, unwelcome, when occupied. You have given up the matter part of does your life matter? Because no, definitely not. Definitely not. In my personal book, okay? Now, I've had some conversations with parole officers, not probation, and honestly just one, a parole officer. But we had many conversations. Her, we'll say clientele, not really they had a choice to be a client, but her clientele that she had to deal with were those who did things to, well, we'll put it this way. They had taboo activities with the youngins. What's taboo? Buddy, if you can't figure out what I mean there, you ain't too sharp. So they'd have taboo relations with the youngins. Generally speaking, for me, personally, I don't think that guy's life mattered anymore. Oddly enough, I say that guy because it's not that often with the girls, but that guy's life doesn't matter anymore. Okay? Be it family friend, family member, total stranger. I don't care. And honestly, most of the abductions and murders from adults to the adolescents are family members and familiar. So generally speaking, they're not totally excluded. Okay? I love my family, I love my friends, but if you were to do something inappropriate, something taboo with a minor, let alone a minor family member or minor that's friend of the family or friend in general, go baby, go. Yes, you're a good girl, go. You just don't realize, go on baby, go. Yes, you're a good girl. But generally speaking, no, they're done with in my book. Now, this does not mean I would go out and cause them physical harm that would put them in the ground, delete them, end them, whatever. No. Maybe if I caught them in the act. And that would, I think, be one of those moments where I would lose my shit, my mind, my self-composure. I'm pretty sure, because just the thought of it is the kind of thing that would enrage me. But if I ever walked in on it, there would be some damage. Now, don't get me wrong, I may not win. It may be me that gets damaged. But at that moment, it's on. Generally speaking, those people cannot truly be rehabilitated. This is according to a lady who retired from a job, and her job through her career was to work with those people. Okay? They never changed. A number of reasons why they never changed. But, how can I put it? Well, okay, let me say this. I like a petite sheriff, a petite woman. I like a brunette. A part of the reason I like a petite woman is my own size. I'm skinny as shit. Oh man, am I skinny. And generally speaking, I like women within my own weight range. As far as the height, I've got other reasons for that. We won't go into it. But I like brunettes, petite brunettes. They'll always catch my eye. Okay? Even if they're not necessarily here, the rest of the physical is there. That catches my eye. There you go. At the same time, the people who have unwarranted taboo actions with the little ones, that taste isn't going to change. It's always going to be like that. I've known people like, how can I put it? What doesn't, good example. I'm a Dodge man. Been a Dodge man all my life. I think nowadays they're POSy. But at the same time, I'm a Dodge man. I'll be a Dodge man because Really, those old Dodges, and even some of the newer ones. Don't get me wrong, some of the newer ones are just freaking amazing vehicles. So I'm more for a man, a Dodge man. Don't really care for Chevy, don't really care for Ford. They have a few years in between now and then, but I'll always be that. Generally speaking, it's in that same mindset. Now, I'm not saying we should end these people for those actions. But at the same time, I would not help them out in life. I'm sorry, I would not. If they were hit by a car and I realized it was them, I would walk away. Don't get me wrong, I know the law says we must aid people if we come across them in that kind of situation. I mean, there literally are laws that say you got to help somebody who's hurting in this situation, relatively speaking. But there are laws that pertain to them. I'm sorry, those are people? No. Lost your job? Could care less. Or couldn't care less. Sorry, Al. Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic, I love that song. But I could not possibly care less. They don't matter to me. Nothing about them. Their life, their status, their whatever. Nothing about that. Now, it doesn't mean you should end it. But it doesn't have to matter to me. Okay? And that's one of those things about that every life matters thing. You're telling me I have to care about who? No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No. 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 And generally speaking, who the hell is somebody else to tell me what has to matter? I mean, just generally speaking. Who has the right, and not just the right, how can I put it? It's beyond the right. Who does somebody think they are that they should tell me what matters to me and what doesn't matter to me? Now, as a child, your parent hopefully did that for you to teach you right from wrong, good from bad, the likes of such. But generally speaking, no. Now, I've got an uncle, and he's a violent felon. Been incarcerated in hard time prisons. Alright, so not one of these are going to go walking out, strolling on the beach kind of deals. No, we're talking with violent gangs and the like. This man had made it clear to me in certain aspects in life. Now, he's the reason why I do my best to never get in enough trouble to go to prison. But at the same time, as much as I may love this man, my uncle, and has done well to teach me things, his life matters to me to an extent. Now, I say, well, that's kind of weird. That's your uncle. Criminal or not. No, wait. All right, so he has birdshot in his body. He's got under his skin, on his skull. He showed me as a kid. Freaked me out, kind of cool and kind of all at once. And I asked him, said, well, what happened? You know, how'd you acquire that? And he says, well, I had heard this guy had some drugs and I went in his house to go get them. Went downstairs into the basement and the guy rolled out of bed, off of his old lady, with a sawed-off shotgun with birdshot. And he took flight up the stairs and he took flight down that road, and that guy took flight behind him, firing. Pow, 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 pow. My uncle says when he was done his leather jacket, it sounded like it was raining when he shook that shit off. Okay? Did his life matter? Not at that moment. Would I have been shocked if he was ended that day? Not in the least. I have been sad? Surprisingly, not that sad. Because generally he had put himself in a situation where his life didn't matter. I mean, he knew there was a chance when he walked in there, he was not walking out. He knew he was putting himself in a situation where his life didn't matter. I'll give you one that doesn't matter. This wackadoo chick, one which honestly as a chick wasn't half bad looking, but for some reason, I'm going with TikTok, but for some reason decided she was male. Yep. Yeah. Didn't look it. Any of the pictures I saw. Just honestly, instead of looking male, she looked younger. How crazy is that? They showed the pictures of her. I was like, wow, she looks more like a kid than an adult. Matter of fact, when it was first reported what she had done, they said it was a teenage girl. Because she had dressed up to appear as a boy. Now, I don't care if you want to live as a man and you're a woman. I don't care if you're a woman and you want to live as a man. I don't really care if you want to live as a horse. It really does not matter to me. As long as you do not infringe on my liberties in my life, you live yours how you want, Buttercup. But at the same time, the moment that lady, I use that word loosely, the moment that lady went ahead, strapped on an iron on her side, and decided she took 2 long rifles with her, and headed to that school, she knew her life no longer mattered. Matter of fact, she was looking for it to be ended. Now, the heartbreak for me is that it was ended quicker. I'm sorry. What her intent was and what she did was so horrific to me. Now, in case you haven't seen the other videos, I'm an uncle to more kids than most people have in their family, let alone siblings, let alone great uncle, let alone cousins and all that. I mean, really, an immense family. Blows people's mind when they tell them how big the family is. And one thing we always teach each other: mind the kids, watch the kids, take care of the kids. It's generally, you don't put your life to the side as far as living it, but you do things to make sure that the kids are healthy. And generally, you don't have to make them happy, but not mess their life up by making it worse. You know what I mean? So, generally for us, the little ones matter the most. When that crazy wingnut lady, it's even hard to say that one about her, when she went and took action, she knew her life didn't matter. And the funny thing is, it didn't matter to her. Out of all of the people whose lives should matter, yours should matter to you. Okay? That has a little something to do with self-worth. Be another video another day with the self-worth thing. But generally speaking, her life didn't matter. Now, did it matter more or less than the 3 children and 3 adults that she slaughtered? I don't care. I don't care what her feelings were. Now, would I have liked her, have seen her receive a more deserving death? Depends on your idea of deserving. But I am pleased to see that they put her down for a finality. I mean, she ain't coming back from it. I don't know where she got hit or how or what, but at the same time, she'll never breathe again. I think for the most part, alright? And no matter what her wackadoo mindset was or how she was pushed this way or pushed that way, if you're going to take and do what she did it thinking her life didn't matter. Why should I? I mean, she literally had done a suicide text message. I guess it's like a modern suicide note. That, oh, you know, it's going to be my last day. You'll hear about me on TV, yada, yada, yada. Of course, nobody called the cops and said, hey, I just got this text from this chick, and I think she's up to no good. Go check her out. Perhaps something could be done there. But nonetheless, so whatever way she wanted to live her life, whatever issues she had, more than likely, most of the discomforts in her life weren't actually any more than being on that stupid phone, more than likely on TikTok. Alright? But she decided her life no longer mattered. And she went to make sure her life was ended. No, I'm not one for suicide. I don't necessarily hold a bad opinion of some suicides. You know, you're 90 years old and you got cancer. Hey man, grandma wants a bunch of morphine and go to sleep one last time. I'm kind of okay with that. Oddly enough, that life mattered. The ending of it actually makes it matter a little bit more, because it was her choice, and she knew that rather than going on in a sickly manner, ending it was okay. And it's not that her life didn't matter, it was just the right choice. But at the same time, not every life does matter. Ted Bundy is always one of my favorite ones, but there's others. There's so many others. Look at all these crime shows and documentaries about serial killers and this and that. I mean, it's all over the world. It's not like it's right here. I'll give you another example. This one kind of, that's a little touch and go for some people. Somebody has unwanted intercourse. Usually male has and it does happen on the female side, but has unwanted intercourse with a subject. I'm sorry, that life doesn't matter. Yep, that life doesn't matter. Now, once again, it's kind of like the kid thing, or the youngins thing. Does that mean we should end them? Really let the punishment put the crime on them. I'm not for easily ending people left and right. I want people to live, be happy, and I want them to be prosperous, because the prosperous community creates prosperous environment for me to hopefully get ahead in life, or get further ahead in life, or whatever. It's up to me. But generally speaking, I don't wish ill on people. I don't want to see people put down needlessly, as we often see. But at the same time, no. How ridiculous, how stupid to say every life matters. Are you really so freaking blind to the world that every life... Alright, here's one for you. Now, one of these days I'll probably do a video on this. I'm not an advocate for abortion. Are there times? Yeah, I think I can reason out times when abortion is appropriate. I really do. But at the same time, you can't say every life matters and kill a pre-born infant. Okay? I don't care if you want to call it a zygote, embryo, I don't care if you want to call it a turd. An infant in a woman's belly is alive. How do we know it's alive? Don't ask me any more science. I'm not going to go into all that. You can do this stupid argument about that all you want. Alright, I'll sit there and listen to you jabber on and laugh at your stupidity. Nonetheless, okay, not having a valid opinion on it at the moment, I still weigh that one. Generally speaking, those people don't think lives matter. Hell, they're pushing to have more abortions done because life matters so much to them. God, how do you make sense of that? How do you make sense of that? So, I mean, this whole thing of every life matters, most of it's hypocrisy. Really. Most of it is. it's pushed on us to manipulate us. Yep. Pushed on us to help campaigns of various sorts, like the BLM campaign, Black Lives Matter, any more than, I'm going to say, Eskimo lives? Inuits? Do their lives matter as much? What about Incans? Okay. What about the American Mexicans that we now call Native Americans? Well, you say, of course, their lives matter. Not if they've given up, how can I put it, the right to matter, or the need to matter, or that's a difficult one. Can you believe I'm having trouble coming up with how best to put it? But generally speaking, no, I don't care if you're green, purple, yellow, orange, or blue. Yellow. Well, I guess that one could be dangerous because the yellow man is considered Asian, or Asians used to be considered yellow man, so who knows who I'm offending there. But nonetheless, okay, any person's life only matters if they maintain a worth by not either ending somebody else's or destroying somebody else's life. If you don't fit in those two categories of destroying somebody's life, ending somebody's life, does your life matter? Well, good likelihood. Does it matter to me? Not if you're out in freaking California. Like, I give a crap about somebody in California. And think about this too. We hear, here, this is going to sound almost cold. All right, you'll love this because it does sound almost cold. Every day that there's civilians killed in the war in Ukraine, apparently I'm supposed to care. Now, honestly, do I want to see those people die? No. Do I think that war is a bad thing? Every war is a bad thing, you dumbass. But at the same time, why am I hearing about every single life in a region that has been fraught with war since the beginning of written history and beyond? Dude, if you know any history about that whole area, Ukraine wasn't always Ukraine. Ukraine wasn't always independent. It's back and forth. I think at one time it may have been Ottoman. You know what I mean? Or Austrian, or just, oh my God. Vladimir Tepesh. That was Wallachia. I think that's how you say that. I'm not good with foreign names. But that was another country at one time. Well, what about those people who were there before then? Alright? So generally speaking, in a region that's constantly being boiled with war and broiled in war, I mean, it's just, dude, you know what I mean? Why do I have... I heard on the news yesterday that 2 civilians were killed in Ukraine in a bombing. Really? Do I know their name? I know their ages? No. As much as they want you to care, they just keep throwing it out there every day. Not every day, but every so often. This many civilians, that many civilians, and nobody wants to see these civilians die. Honestly, the soldiers are a little easier to swallow, but even then, I don't want to see the soldiers on either side die. I don't want to see war. I wish they could sort this all out. But why am I hearing about it? Another good example. Plane crashes in, let's say, Oregon. We're trying to go to the extremes here. Plane crashes in Oregon. Kills a pilot and 2 people. I should care why. But I'll be damned if my local news won't have news about it. Why? Why are we hearing about a couple people who died in an airplane crash? Now, I can understand, you get, 10, 20, 30, 100 people in a plane, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I guess that matters. And if you have connection to these people, then yeah, it matters. These people are strangers to me. I don't know them. And this is not to be mean or callous. I wish for their sake, their family's sake, as well as their own, even their friends and such, that they would have survived. But they didn't. And honestly, when my life comes to an end, there might be a good number of people it matters to. But to the world? No, no, no. I don't expect to be on the news, so-and-so. You know what I mean? When people pass away, you look at a funeral home. The entire community isn't there. Unless it's somebody who really mattered to the community. Generally speaking, it's friends, family. Think about when homeless die. How many could go to that funeral? Because really, generally speaking, their lives didn't matter to them more should have mattered to the rest of us. And don't get me wrong, I have actually helped homeless people. I let one stay in my house for, 10 days. Simple rules, no friends over, look for a job. That was it. I'll feed you, roof over your head. Sure, you're homeless, but you're not gonna come home drunk. You go out drinking, I'm fine with that. Do not come back to my house drunk. And if you don't come back, tomorrow when you come back, grab your stuff and go. Now generally, did her life matter to me? No, not really. No. But at the same time, my nature says, well, if I help these people out, maybe their life will matter to them. And that mattered to me. Does that make a little bit more sense? So, does every life matter? No. And I hope I gave you fodder for when anybody brings that up. You know what I mean? This way you get another one of these idiots who say, Black Lives Matter. What about Malvo? The kid who went around with the old man and shot people up. I think it was the kid that was named Malvo. But they hid in a car trunk and shot people. Their lives didn't matter. I'm sorry about it. No. That should have been put to an end pretty quick. So, even with the BLM thing, no. Asian lives matter. Oh, there's that guy, I think he was down over in Texas or somewhere on a bus, psychotic as hell, and brutally ended somebody and took him apart and even consumed part of him. I'm sorry, at that moment, his life no longer mattered. Nobody would have shed it. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. A very small fraction of the human race, infantilely small fraction of the human race, that life would have mattered to. Everybody else would have been like, good thing, that's a rabid dog. Down he goes. So, generally speaking, when you hear that BS, I hope you'll step up and say something. You don't have to be a jerk about it. Matter of fact, if you're calm, it makes it harder to refute. But at the same time, explain the reasons why not every life matters. Be specific. You don't have to convince somebody otherwise. Geez, no. I mean, look at Sister Teresa. She thought every life mattered, and man, did she work hard to do good for everybody. Everybody that she came across. That woman went to extremes to better people's lives. Her life mattered when she died. Okay? Not every life matters. So I hope I made my point on that. Hopefully I didn't run my battery out like last time. I know. Good job, dumbass. But nonetheless, I want to end real quick with thanking dude from last week. Really, it was an interesting conversation. A bit fast-paced, but in today's short attention span communication forums, I understood why it was like that. We don't go into long, deep thoughts anymore. We go into quick comments and whatnot. Matter of fact, that was part of our conversation. So I want to thank him for coming over last week. I'm hoping I can come across a young lady in the trades that I work on homes with. I don't work with her. She has a different trade set. But at the same time, we work on the same builders' homes. I would like to talk to her about women in the trades. And honestly, I mean, if you're a local, you see this, get a hold of me. If you have something you want to talk about, put you in the seat and we'll have a conversation. But other than that, come to the end now. So I want to say, if you want to hear more of what I got to say, first subscribe. You have to click like to even get me noticed, because these stupid algorithms, if you don't know what that is, Al Gore supposedly invented the internet. So algorithms, you have to click like, or they bury you, you never get noticed. You click likes, you get a little bit of notice. More likes, the more notice. Even the more subscriptions, I think. As far as notifications, well, I'm going to try and do it every Sunday, as in today, because sometimes I don't post it for a day or so. Not necessarily by choice, but things are what they are. So with that, if I don't have somebody here next week, I think I got a pretty good topic. And, well, for now, I want to say thank you a bunch, and we'll see you then. All right, well, have a good one.